Okay, so good morning. Uh, Yesterday we discussed about some concepts how your electric field will behave in a conductor. That is what we mainly dealt with yesterday. Then we all have also seen what is meant by magnetic scalar and vector potential. Today we are going to learn about boundary conditions. Okay, boundary conditions is what we are going to learn. Boundary means, as you can understand, boundary means that happens between like two. If you between two places, we will have a boundary, right? So similarly, between two medium also we have an interface or a boundary. So what are the conditions of the field in that boundary? That is what is meant by boundary conditions, and we will be learning the boundary conditions of electric and magnetic field. Okay, so let us see. So first of all, I would like to take you into boundary conditions only. Means what is meant by the boundary conditions. So what is boundary condition? Boundary condition means what? Boundary condition is nothing but what it means. If you have a boundary between two media, like this is your medium 1 and this is your medium 2. At the boundary means here what will be the condition of the field. Okay, so that is what is meant by boundary condition. Means you can write the conditions that the field must satisfy, that the field must satisfy condition that the field must satisfy at the interface separating the medium, at the interface separating the medium. So this is what is known as boundary condition. Okay, so now what is the need of boundary condition? Okay, you will understand that with time. That if let us say that we you know the electric field density or in one medium, and you know what is the boundary condition, then you will be able to find out the electric field density in the other medium. Okay, so like you are understanding what is happening at the interface when you have two media with different properties. Right, different property means what in electrical field it is about the permittivity. For one medium I have epsilon 2, here I have epsilon 1, then what they become different media. So what happens? So with this, the main by using boundary condition, the main application is that you will be able to find out the field in the other material. Okay, the field in the other material when you know the field in the this material, like you know E1 and you know boundary condition, you can find out what the electric field density in the other material. Okay. Okay, like in one side of the boundary you know the electric field and the boundary condition, then in the other side of the boundary what will be the field, that you can be able to understand. So that is what it means. And so we are going to see the boundary condition. I am writing BC in what, in the electric field. Okay, for electric field we are going to find out the boundary conditions. So here we will be considering three cases. Okay, three cases we will be considering. Like one is a dielectric and a dielectric, like it is having a relative energy epsilon r1, and one another dielectric with epsilon r2. Okay, like then it becomes two medium. Then some special cases like what, the conductor and dielectric. Okay, the conductor and dielectric. Then another case is what, the conductor and free space. Okay, so these are the three cases of boundary condition that you are going to see. Mainly we are going to focus on what, the first boundary condition, dielectric and dielectric. Then I think we will be able to understand how we will forward with the conductor and the other two conditions. Okay, so let us go straight into the first one. Yeah, before that, some prerequisites, like what we are going to do. For getting boundary conditions, what I am going to do, I am going to use the two Maxwell's equations. Okay, so one is integral E dot dl equal to 0. Right, I think you remember this. In over the loop, or if you have a loop like this, if you have a loop over the loop, if you go from here to here completely, then what, let me say that this is a b c d. Okay, so over the closed loop a b c d a, your E dot dl is going to be 0. So that you all have already known. That is one Maxwell equation that I will be using in boundary condition. Another one is what, our Gauss's law. Integral d dot ds is the charge enclosed, right? So this is Gauss's law. So what is Gauss's law? Like, you have a Gaussian surface, then through the surface, if you find if through the surface, whatever flux density is there, or whatever be the total flux that is coming outside, that will be equal to what, the charge enclosed inside the Gaussian surface. So these two concepts we are using. And let us say if you have a vector E like this, then this we can what we will be able to make it what, to into two components, right? So this I am calling as a tangential component and this as the normal component. Okay, let me say the surface is like this. Okay, so with this reference, this is tangential and this is the normal component. So this also we will be using. So vector E, I will be writing it as what, ET, tangential component plus the normal component. So similarly, the magnetic flux density D also I can write as what, dt plus dn. Okay, so these are the concepts that we are going to use. We are going to use the two Maxwell's equations. Okay, we are going to use what, the two Maxwell's equation, E dot dl equal to 0 and D dot ds equal to charge enclosed, as well as we are going to use the what I can say, that we will make the our vector E into components. So this is the thing. These are the two things that we will be using. Okay, so now let us proceed into our first case, which is what it is, the dielectric and dielectric boundary condition. Okay, ready? So let me write here. Dielectric boundary condition. So this is what we are going to do. So in the dielectric boundary condition, let us see. Let me say that I have two media. So I have two media, means medium 1 is there and medium 2 is there. So medium 1 is having a permittivity epsilon 1 and medium 2 is having a permittivity of epsilon 2. The electric field intensity vector in medium 1, I am representing it with E1, and the electric flux density vector is represented as D1. Okay, similarly here vector E2 represents the electric field density in the medium 2 and D2 represents the electric flux density in the medium 2. Right, so with that understanding, let us move on. So I think you are able to see this figure, right? So let us see. So this is the figure here. Now if you see in this figure, this is my medium 1. Okay, this is my medium 1 and here is my medium 2, and the place, whatever you are seeing between this is what, the boundary between the two media. Okay, medium 1 is having a permittivity of epsilon 1 and medium 2 is having a permittivity of epsilon 2. So I believe you are able to understand it here. And when you are hearing this, you can take your time and draw this also and see. In medium 1, your electric field density is E1. In medium 2, your electric field density is E2. Okay, as I said earlier, they are made into two components. One is E1T, another one is E1N for E1, and E2T and E2N for the E2. Right. It is obvious that when your permittivity is changing, there is going to be some change in electric field density, and since electric field density is in the same direction electric flux density also, so in electric flux density also. So that I should not say now. We will see that. Okay, so that you are understanding here. So that is medium 1 and medium 2, and I have already told you that I will be using the two Maxwell's equation. So using this figure, I will be using the first Maxwell equation, which is E dot dl equal to 0. Okay, E dot dl equal to 0. So for that, I am considering a closed loop here. What is that closed loop? A, B, C, D, A. Okay, in the same way I have drawn A, B, C, D, A. That is the closed loop which I am considering, and it is considered in the boundary. Okay, it is considered in the boundary. So it is sharing both the places. Okay, it is sharing what? It is sharing both the this both places, like both the media. So that is what I am going to do. Now the width of the this rectangular, the length and width you can see. So one from AB or CD, its length is what? Delta W, and BCAD, it is what? Delta H. Okay, so this, and with this understanding, we are going to our what? We are going to our we are going to our derivation. So which Maxwell equation I am making it a bit smaller, because now I don't need it much. I think you can see here. So with that understanding, I will use the Maxwell's equation, which is what? E dot dl equal to 0, right? E dot dl equal to 0. So that is what I am going to use. Now when I say over the closed loop, and I have mentioned the closed loop, right? So that is like I have to add it between integral A to B, B to C, C to D, and D to A, right? So let me write. It is equal to what? Integral A to B plus B to C plus C to D plus D to A, E dot dl. Okay, so that is what here. Now AB and CD, if you are assuming that it is a very small thing, then what? This AB and CD sides, they are these sides AB and CD, they are tangential to the interface. Okay, AB and CD, they are tangential to the interface, and AD and BC, these are what? Normal to the interface. So that understanding you have. So with that, we will write here. So for A to B, what will be the integral? So this integration is one side is 0. So the other side is A to B is what? For A to B, the component in the direction is what? E1t, right? For A to B, the component in the direction is E1t, and the length is delta W, right? E dot dl means what? E into whatever be the length. If you differentiate, you will get E1t into delta W. So I can write E1t into delta W. Then another the next part is like this. Next, what is the next part? Next is B to C, right? B to C, the component is the B to C. You are going in this direction, right? But your component E1n is in which direction? It is in the other direction. So that is why I have to take it here as the negative here, minus E1n, right? It is E1n. That also, that E1n component, it is only up to what? It is only up to delta H by 2, not completely. So that will be equal to E1n into delta H by 2. Right. Similarly, if you see the next from this point, like from half the point, like at this point, to C. So that will be equal to E2 minus E2n, because E2n is also in what? The opposite direction only, into delta S by 2. I think you are able to understand. So again the other terms will come. Now again, if you go like this, it is E2t into delta W for C to D. Then plus, it will become plus when it comes from D to A, because your E2n as well as E1n components, they are in the same direction as we have considered the loop. So E2n into delta S by 2 plus E1n into delta S by 2. Right, so this is the complete integration. Here you can see that. Here, you can see that your E1 minus E1 and delta S by 2, and here again E1 and delta S by 2. This will get cancelled, and this also will get cancelled. So what will be left here? If you are seeing this equation, what will be left is 0 equal to E1t delta W minus E2t delta W. Right, so that is what will be left after your integration, and this with this we can write what? E1t minus E2t into delta W equal to 0, or that gives me the idea that in this boundary, when you have a dielectric boundary, the tangential component of electric field density is going to be the same in both the in the both the places. The tangential component of electric field density in the boundary will in the medium 1 and medium 2 are going to be the same. So on the two sides of the boundary. So in other words, ET undergoes no change on the boundary. So here otherwise we can say that your ET means what? The tangential component. ET undergoes no change in the boundary. ET undergoes no change in the boundary. So that is your understanding that you will have. Okay, that is your understanding that you will have. So similarly, since we have come up to this, so this is about what the electric field density. Similarly, I have told you that D also we can write as what? D also we can write as D1 dt, sorry, dt plus dn, right? So, and we have a relationship that E is equal to what? This is only about tangential component. So E equal to what? D equal to what? D is epsilon E, right? So it's having a direct relationship. That is why when I have taken this E1t, this E1t equal to E2t, I can write it like, so what will be E? Vector E will be equal to D divided by epsilon. When you are taking component and then it's a scalar, so when I say E1t equal to E2t, right? E1t equal to E2t, E1t I can write as D1t divided by epsilon 1, right? For with the same median. E2t will be what? D2t divided by epsilon 2, right? So, or I can write D1t divided by epsilon 1 equal to D2t divided by epsilon 2. One thing very clearly that you can understand is that not like just like the electric field density's tangential components, your electric flux density tangential components are not the same in one media and the other. There is a change, right? So dt undergoes some change across the interface, and hence dt is said to be discontinuous. Okay, or when I say there is no change for et here, I can also say that this is continuous. And when I am saying that when this comes for electric flux density tangential component, then we can say that your flux density is what? Discontinuous at the boundary. Okay, or it is undergoing some change at the boundary. That is what you are able to understand here. What? The tangential component of d1, sorry, the tangential component of, so what I will write? dt. Okay, so dt, the tangential component of electric flux density, is undergoing some change what? At the boundary, and hence it is discontinuous, right? So this you understood about the dielectric boundary condition. Now let us move on to using the other Maxwell's equation, what? Our Gauss's law, right? Our Gauss's law. What is Gauss's law? Gauss's law is integral d dot ds, right? Integral over the closed surface d dot ds will be equal to what? The charge enclosed. So that is what we are going to use. But here again, just like electric field, d is here we have what? Here we have d1 as well as d2 right? And both of them are taken as components of d1 and d1t and d2t, d2n respectively, right? So here we are considering a small cylindrical surface here, and if you are using this here, the Gauss's law here, what we can write? So if you are using the Gauss's law here, you can see that around the cylindrical surface path, anyhow it is going to cancel, and only on this part as well as this part only you will have the components in your equation. So let us say that delta q is the total charge enclosed. Okay, so let us say that delta q is the total charge enclosed, right? So what it will give you? Delta q is the total charge enclosed. Okay. So normally we total charge enclosed, and let us say that rho rho s is what the free charge density in the so rho s is the free charge density placed like deliberately at the boundary. Okay, so it means inside the box we are assuming that delta h is becoming so small, and inside the box at the boundary we are placing delta q charge, and there the charge density is how much? Rho s. Okay, so we will write, so this is delta s, so rho s into delta s. Right, rho s into delta s, that will be that is what will give you the total charge enclosed. As per d dot ds, what we will be the two surfaces, the one here and the other one here. So it will be d1n into delta s here, because d1n as well as delta s is in the same direction. But on the other side, d2n is what? d2n is through inside the going inside the material to the cylinder, and your surface delta s is what? In the other direction. So it is minus d2n into delta s. Right, so if you use that, your delta s will get cancelled, and that is why d1n minus d2n will become rho s. Okay, d1n minus d2n will become rho s. So that is the boundary condition. So and you should understand here is what you should be able to understand here is that I am considering that your electric flux density, it is from what? It is from 2 to 1. Okay, with that understanding only I am using this equation. If it is other way around, you have to change accordingly. So now assume that most of the time, or in this case, let us say that rho s is equal to 0. Like I am not placing any charge inside the box. Then that's a more specific case. Rho is equal to 0 means what? No charge at the boundary. Right? Rho is equal to 0 means no charge at the boundary. In that case, then what? d1n minus d2n will become 0, or d1n will become d2n. Okay, now the interesting part here, that means the tangential components, the tangential component of electric field density was continuous. Here what? The normal component of, sorry. So what you can understand from here, your understanding is what? Your dn, okay, normal component of electric field density is continuous at the boundary. Okay, or there is no change. Okay, it is continuous at the boundary or no change. So that is what you can understand from by solving this equation. Now similar to the other case, we can use our d equal to epsilon E equation here also. Then what you will get? Then you will get that d1n equal to d2n. So what? Your epsilon 1 E1n equal to what? Epsilon 2 E2n. Right, so from this you can understand that your electric field density, normal component of electric field density, En normal, okay, normal component of electric field density is what? Discontinuous at the boundary. Okay, so that is what you will be able to understand from boundary condition of dielectric media. Okay, now let me just conclude this part. First using E dot del, we understood that the tangential component are what? The tangential components are equal, or the tangential component of electric field density in the boundary is continuous. And when it was continuous, then we also realized our d1t by epsilon 1 equal to d2t by epsilon 2, or it is discontinuous. Then when it comes to normal components using Gauss's law, we understood that our electric field density normal components, they are not continuous, and but our electric flux densities, they are continuous. Okay, so these are the boundary conditions, you can say. Right, so here one more thing. So now so that's they are the boundary conditions. Similarly, we can formulate a means like what is happening. I told you, right? Like this we can use to find out the electric field density in the other boundary. Okay, on the other side of the boundary. Once we know in the one side about that, we have something called as the refraction. Okay, it is like if you have two materials with a different refractive index. then when your light is going from one to another, then it will bend, right? So the light is bending, and that is due to the difference in refractive index. Even interestingly, while you are studying material science, you will come to know that even the permittivity of a material and the refractive index, they are like they are related. Okay, they are related, that you will understand later. So now what I want you to, now what I want you to understand is that we can have this refraction law in for electric field also. Okay, so let us see. So what is the refraction? Okay, what is refraction happening here? So let us see, or the law of refraction you can call. So for that, just whatever you had before, like you have your two media, 1 and 2, and like 1 and 2 media you have. Okay, so let us say that we have an electric field here. I am going to consider at a particular point like this. Okay, so let us say that this is my electric field density E2, then this is having a normal component like this. Normal, it will be what, normal to the surface also, so that is E2. And similarly, you will have another E1 here. Okay, let me say that this is E1, then this also will have what, a tangential component as well as a normal component, right? It will be there for both E as well as D. I am just writing E2 and E1 here, so that this will be what, this will be my E2T, this will be my E1T, and right, like that it will go on. So let us say that these are making angles theta 1 and theta 2 with the normal to the surface. Okay, if they are making angle theta 1 and theta 2 with the normal to the surface, okay, what will be the tangent E1T? If that E1 is this one and this is theta 1, you know that it will be what, the sine theta component will give you. So E1 sine theta 1, right? E1T, E1 sine theta 1 will give you what, the sine theta component. Okay, E1, so it is E1T only, right? So E1T, so I will say E1 sine theta 1, that will give you what, the sine theta 1 component. Similarly, E2T will be equal to E2 sine theta 2. As part of the boundary condition, we already know that E12 is equal to E2t. So that we can say that E1 sine theta 1 will be equal to E2 sine theta 2. Right. That is about that. Now I told you, like E1 and E2, the same directions will be what, your electric flux density also. So the other boundary condition was what, your D1n equal to D2n. Right. So if you take the normal component here, what it will be? If you take the normal component here, you will see that that will go as what, the cosine component, right? Like this component here, or here it is there. So that will be what, the cosine component. So you can write D1 cos theta 1 is equal to D2 cos theta 2, right? D1n equal to D2n, right? So there again, already my first equation is what, that is in the E form. So I want to change this also into the E form. So D1n I can write as epsilon 1, this is E1t, this is E2t. Okay, so epsilon 1, sorry, this is D1 only, I'm sorry. Yeah, epsilon 1 E1 cos theta 1 equal to epsilon 2 E2 cos theta 2. We are only considering the magnitude here, so that is why I am putting all in scalars. Epsilon 1 E1 sin cos theta 1 equal to epsilon 2 E2 cos theta 2. So this is equation 2. So if I take 1 by 2, what will be left? E1 will go on both sides. So what will be left is that sin theta 1 by cos theta 1, right? Sin theta 1 by cos theta 1 on one side, let me say sin theta 1 by cos theta 1 into, yeah, here will come what, your epsilon 1 equal to sin theta 2 by cos theta 2, and here also epsilon 2, right? So that is what you will get, right? So that is what you will get. So if you rearrange, you will understand that this will be equal to tan theta 1 by tan theta 2 will be given by epsilon r1 divided by epsilon r2. Relative permittivity. Whether you take relative or the real permittivity, it does not matter, right? It's the ratio. So this is called as the law of refraction. Okay, this is called as what? Law of refraction of electric field at the boundary. Okay, at the boundary. This is the what? Law of refraction of electric field at the boundary. One thing that you should understand here is that it is only right when you don't have any charge. Okay, it is only right when you have no charge in the boundary. So that is also you have to understand. So that's about your dielectric boundary condition. Now we will get into the conductor dielectric boundary condition as well as the conductor free space boundary condition. So they are just special cases, you can say, that we will know.